Hey guys, I've seen the TikToks of people saying we want tutorials again, and I'm here to deliver. I'm not a professional and I've never claimed to be one. I'm just a makeup lover, and I'm going to show you guys how I do my base routine. I've said this a million times, I'm going to say it a million more. Skin prep is really the key to good makeup. In my opinion, it makes your makeup look better, it makes it last longer, it improves your skin overall. If you don't have the money for a toner and a serum and a moisturizer, I understand it is pricey. Just get a good moisturizer. I would recommend either the Inky List or Innisfree. Those moisturizers work really well for my skin, and I feel like I can use them on their own and my makeup will still look really good. So first is foundation. So I'm just going to go in with a couple pumps on the back of my hand. I really like to use this flat brush. It's like really dense and I feel like it applies my makeup really well. So I just kind of saturate the brush, making sure that the bristles are evenly coated so it's going to apply nice on my face. And I kind of start where I need the most coverage, so like on the spots that I have. And I like to just kind of tap it in like this. Not like dragging it, just tapping it like this. Just make sure you bring it down the neck. I like to avoid my eye area just because I'm going to be putting concealer there and I don't want it to be overloaded with product. Make sure you tap by your ears and your hairline. To make sure you get like around your brow, I like to take like a little flat brush, pick up the rest of the foundation on the back of your hand, and just carve out the brow. I like to tap my foundation on right here. I don't really care if it gets in my brow because I like that it looks a little faded in the front. So I just tap. Lately, I have been going in with a damp beauty blender after to kind of tap over everything just to make sure it's really seamless and pick up any extra products left over on the skin. For the concealer, I go in with one that's not super brightening, more closer to my foundation shade. And I put a little bit here and here. And then I'm going to take my beauty blender. I do sometimes use like a brush, but honestly, I think the beauty blender works a lot better for me. And then I just tap it out. And I'm not rubbing it, I'm just tapping it. And I place it here to give it more of a lifted effect. I scrunch it so that I can tap kind of like the inner of my eye right here, like that. I do like to tap it a little bit down my nose, just like the excess on my sponge, because I like the sides of my nose to be a little bit more bright. After I do that layer of concealer, I go with a brighter concealer because I like a bright under eye. If you don't have to do this step. And I just really put it in the inner corners. And then I'm just going in with my beauty blender again and I'm just tapping it. I look up and I tap. I squish the beauty blender again and I tap it on the inner corner of my eye, and I don't mind bringing it down the sides of my nose. I do tap a bit of the excess concealer upwards because I like the lifted effect, but I'm really focusing it on the inner corner. And sometimes I want it to be a bit more bright, so I just go in with a little bit more. I would recommend always starting off with less because you can always add more, you can't really take it away. Again, you're just tapping, and then I use the excess to tap upwards to give me that lifted effect. We just finished with our concealer. We're going to let it sit. I haven't set anything yet. We're going to go in with our bronzer now. I'm going to be going in with a brush like this. It's pretty dense, and I'm going to be going in with the bronzer in the Makeup Forever palette. I'm going to be going in with this shade right here, just tapping it onto the brush, not too much. And then I like to tap it kind of at the hollows, but also a little bit upwards, like this. And you just keep building it up until you like the coverage. So I'm going to go in with a little bit more. Again, not rubbing it or swiping it, just tapping it like this. I don't bring it all the way down here. I kind of just stop at the end of my eye because that's just personally what I like. I don't like when it's like pulled in too much. The same thing with the forehead. I'm just picking it up and tapping it on, going into my hairline, a little bit down here to connect it. and I don't like to bring it out too far. If you do, that's fine, but personally I just like to kind of keep it to the parameter of my face. Nose, I just used what was left over on the brush already, and I'm just tapping it downwards. And don't worry if you don't love the way it's looking right now. I always go in with a beauty blender afterwards to really like blend out the edges to make sure that it is really seamless. So just tap it all over where you put the bronzer. And if you feel like it's lost a little bit of pigment, you just go back in with your brush and reapply. Now we're gonna do our blush. I like to use a brush like this. It's dense, it's small, it's angled. How I pick my brushes is I kind of just make sure that it's like the size of the area that I want to cover. So this is like the perfect size for my blush. Just tap upwards right here. I like when my blush is higher placement. I feel like it makes my face look more lifted. I'm just going to keep tapping it. I'm not swiping or pulling, just tapping so I don't disrupt the foundation on my skin. And I'm blending it into the bronzer like this. And a little bit underneath my eye to kind of blend the concealer. And I'm tapping it on the high points of my cheeks. You can do it more down here. It's really where you like your blush placement, but I liked it up here again because I feel like it really does give me a more lifted look. And I'm just tapping into the bronzer and blending it into that concealer. I'm going to be going back in with my beauty blender and I'm going to re-tap out that concealer into the blush to make it more smooth and flawless transition, like so. I'm also going to be tapping out the blush in general to make sure that it's blended into the bronzer. Tapping it out on my nose too. After you go in with the beauty blender, you can then assess and look and see, hey, do I want to add more blush? Do I like the way it's looking? And go from there. For me, I want to add a little bit more blush, so I'm just tapping back on the blush. I didn't go back into the pan. I'm just using what's left over on my brush. And again, I'm just tapping it in the same spots underneath the eye and into the bronzer. So now we're going to set the under eyes. I'm going to go in with a powder puff and some pink powder. You can use translucent, but I'm going to use pink because I like a really brightening under eye. So you're just going to kind of rub it into the powder puff to make sure it's evenly distributed. Then I'm going to take my powder and I just kind of look upwards like this. And then I push it into the skin. I don't use pink powder everywhere. I use it just underneath my eye. Like that. See the difference? And then for the rest of the face, I just go in with the translucent powder and my powder puff again, picking it up on my powder puff, rubbing it back on my hand again. And then I just tap this literally everywhere. I put it all over my face. And I make sure that I really push it into the skin. Now it's time to go in with the powdered versions of those cream or liquid products that we just used. We're going to go in with this fluffy angled brush with our bronzer, and I just tap it in, tap off the excess, and then I just tap it exactly where we put that cream bronzer. What I've learned with this technique is that layering your products makes it last longer. Tapping a little down the nose. And now we're going to go in and do our powdered blush, and I like to use this brush. It's very tiny, angled, and very fluffy. We're just tapping the powdered blush onto the cream blush and blending it in to our bronzer and underneath our eye. And then I like to take like a small fluffy brush and my translucent pressed powder and I load it up, tap off the excess, and then I just kind of go all over my face to make sure that everything is blended really well. Just tapped a little bit of blush onto my nose as well. So that's my base routine. I'll be right back with the finishing touches. Okay, I'm back. Here's the final look. After you do everything, then you would set your face. If you guys want another tutorial, let me know.